Good everyone, my name is Graphics. Today we want to solve another example on enlargement, but this time we'll be solving this question. Now, like I said earlier, in drawing this kind of question, you're going to draw a straight line. Let me say your faint line should be straight this way, right? Now you take your T-square to draw your vertical line this way. Now this is your reference point here. Now if you look at this diagram very well, let me zoom in so you see. From this point here to, let me say this is my point A, let me call it A. From this point, my reference point A, to this top here is given to be what? 40. So I'm going to measure 40. So this point is my point A. Upward is what? 40. So I'm going to measure 40 upward. From 0 to 4 is 40. Right? Now that is my point 40. Now from the point I measured 40, I'm going to draw another line this way. Faint line like this. You can see that. Now if you look, let's call that point B. Now if you look at this diagram very well, let me zoom up. I say here is A, which I just measured to this point here, 40, which is B. Then from B here, I said here is my B. So from B, let me call this point C. Right? Now from B to C is what? 10 millimeter. So I'm going to measure my 10 millimeter inward. So B to C is 10 millimeter. I'll measure my 10 millimeter inward. Right? So it's from 1 to 0 here is 10. And I should thicken it because this is where I'm actually going to. Now, the next thing we'll do is, let me call here point C. The next thing we'll do again is from C downward. Let me show you to see what I'm doing. From C downward, here, let me say from C to D is 5 millimeter. Look at the distance. This arrow here showing that from C to D is 5. I'm only putting all this alphabet so that you'll be able to get what I'm showing you. From C to D is what? 5 millimeter. So I will take my set square. Let me zoom down. I'll take my set square and place it on C. Just take it down, faint line. So I'll measure my 5 millimeter downward. So from 2 here, I'll measure 5 downward here. You can see that? So I can just thicken it. That is the 5 here. And also, I'm going to thicken here too. From A to B. Now, the next thing we're going to do here is we'll draw this line. Let's say this is D. Let me show you. From D, and let me say this point is what? E. Right? So is what? 30. So I'm taking this point here to be my point D. And I'll take my T-square to draw my horizontal line to this point, faint line also, to get to point D, which I will measure D to E, which is 30. So I'll place it here. Let me take it downward. So I've already drawn my horizontal line this way. So from D to E, which is 30, I'll measure the 30 here to this point. That's my point E, and I'll thicken it. Right? So this is my E, point E. Now, if you look at the diagram again, I'll come downward. This is my point A. I'll say point A, and I'll call it to be what? My, let me call it F. Point F. So from A to F is what? 27. From A to F is 27. Look at it very well. A to F is 27. So I'm going to measure 27. So from this A here, let me take it up a little bit. From this A here, I'll measure 27. So this is my 27. 27 here. So this is here, and I'll thicken it to this point, and I'll join it. This is my point F. I'll join from here to this point, right? So I've successfully brought out the outer shape of it. I'm only putting A, B, C, D, E, F, so you can easily locate the point I'm talking about. You don't have to put those points, right? Now I want to draw the circle inside. Now the center, the circle has a center, right? So from the base here, I'll measure 18 upward. So I'll measure 18 upward from A. I'll measure 18. This is 10 and this is 18 here. Right, this is my 18. Then I'll use my compass, my set square, to draw a center line like this. Right? Now if you look at this also, to get this other point here from A to this point here is what? 16. From this point to this point here is 16. And I'll measure 16 also from A. So I'll measure 16 from A. So this is 16 here. So I will take my set square and my T square to trace that point. So my center line is somewhere around here. So where they meet at this point is the center point. Now what is the radius of my cycle? The radius of this circle is given as what? 10. So with the help of my rule, I'll measure 10. I can say okay, from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1 is 10. This is my 10 here, right? The radius. And I'll place it at the center. And I'm going to draw my circle this way. Now if you see this, I have successfully drawn my shape out, right? You can see that I have successfully drawn the shape out. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I haven't gotten the shape out, this shape. I'm going to pick a point. I will extend this end in here like this, just like I did in my previous video. And I'll pick a point. I'll call that point P. Now I'm going to allow the point to pass through all these points. Like I said, this edge, I will extend it to this point to touch the body of this circle here. I will extend it to touch the body of this. Also this here also, I will extend it to touch the body of this, right? Then I will draw my line to pass through each of those points. So let's do that and see. So with the help of my rule, I'm going to take it to pass through those points. Let me bring it down a little bit so you see what I'm talking about. So from here, P, take it through B. From P, take it through this point here. From P, take it to the next point here. From P, take it through the center also. From P, take it through this. From P also, that is what we have. Now the next thing we do, all this edge also, you take them down. So the first edge is this point here. I'll take it down to touch here. If I take it down, it touches here. with the help of my compass, I'll place it at A, take it to that point to touch down, this point here. Can you see that? Let me show you. So I'm going to do that, and I'll draw that arc. So I'll call that point my A prime. So I'll draw my line to pass through that A prime from P, passing through the A prime. If you watched the previous video, you have an insight of what I'm doing. Then I'll go to the center. This is the center also. I'll do the same thing, extend it to that center point here, right? I will call it A prime prime, or let me call it A1 and A2, right? Then I'll pass it through that point from P. And take it back down, pass it through P. This is the P I'm talking about. So from P, I'll pass it through there. Now the next thing is I'm going to draw this downwards. This circle point here, I'll trace it down to touch this base, and I'm going to place it from A to the point I need, and I'm going to draw my arc. Let me call that A0, A0, right? The next thing I'll do again, I'll go to this end here too, I'll project it down. Touching here, and from here extend it to that point, and you get this. I call it A3. I'll repeat the same feat. Draw a line from P that will pass through that point of A3. Now the next thing I'll do, I am going to, from this edge here, trace it down to this horizontal line here. I'll do the same thing from here to here. I will take my compass, I will extend it to that point, and I'll get my A4. Right, and I'm going to draw it to go through that A4. So this is what I'm going to have. Now let's see what has really happened. So this is what we're having now. After successfully radiating those points, the next thing is at any distance here, like I advised the earlier time, you can place it at any point on this line. So I can take my T-square, my Z-square or my T-square like this, place it on it, and take it to a point maybe somewhere around here, and I'll draw a faint line straight down that will cover all those points. I'll cover all those points. So if you look at it from the beginning line straight down to the ending of the line, you can see that. So we move forward. Now the next thing we'll do, let's start from the top. We said this is AB, right? So A, this is A, automatically this point here I'll call it my A prime. Right? This is B, automatically this point here I'll call it my B prime. And I will now thicken the point because I need it to be thickened, because A to B is thickened. Right? Now the next thing is, if you look at from here to here, right, I'm going to draw a line this way. Are we good? If you look at this thickness here, you trace it down at this point, and if you come here is what? A1. So look at the line of A1 is meeting at this point here. So I'll call it to be A1 prime. A1 prime. So I'll take my compass, place it at A, take it to this point, A1 prime, and I'm going to draw my arc. So where the arc meets here, I'll take my T square to the help of my set square. I'll project that point up like this. So where it moves up, I will now draw from B to A, then I will draw a straight line from B to A with the help of what? My T square. Let me take it down. So from B to A. So from this B, take it to this point here. So that will be my what? My C prime. Now if you look at it, that is for that point. Now the next one is, I'll bring it down. How will I bring it down? This same point here, this point here is this point here. So I'm going to reduce it out. I'll take it out like this. So with my faint line where it meets, I'm going to thicken C prime to D. So this is C to D. So that would be my what? My D prime, because this is C to D, so this will be C prime to D prime. Now the next thing is this other point here. If I trace it down, this is the arc here, so that is A4. So where the A4 pass, this is my A4. This is the point of my A4, right? So I'll take my compass, move from A prime to this point here, which is my A4 prime, and I'm going to draw my arc like this to touch here. So this is A4 prime. So from that point here, I'll radiate it up. So let's radiate it up and see what will happen. I'm going to radiate it up. So let's see. From this point, I'll take it up. Now what do you notice? From this D, I will draw a straight line. Wherever I touch that line is what I actually need. I'll move from D to E, so D to E prime. So I will do this to move and touch a point. So I'll call it my E prime. Now the next one is this point here, which is F. If you look at F, this is where F is. F is A3. So I'm going to radiate A3 also. So from A3, this is where A3 is. This will be my A3 prime. So if I place it at A here, I will take it to A3, right? And I will draw my arc this way. So at that point where it meets, this point here is this point here. I'm going to join this to this. So in joining it to this, I'll be having this. That will be my F prime. This is my what? My F prime. And from here to here, I'll thicken it, joining A prime and F prime together. And this will give me this. So I've brought out this shape. Now the next one that's remaining is this circle. Now I can just help myself in two ways. This center line is A2 prime, and if I trace my A2 prime to this point, that will be my A2 prime. So I'll take my compass and I'll move it to this point here, and I'll draw my arc. So that's what I'll just do. So I'll draw my center line at that point first. This is center line. So the next one is this. If you look at this, I move to this point and I'll draw an horizontal line. So where it cuts through from this point, it will be my center line like this. So I'll edit it from this point here. Now this is the center of my cycle. Now where will I take the radius from? At any of this. Look at this point here. If I take it down here, this is the circle here. I've not edited it, right? So let me just do that. I should draw my line from that point to pass through A0. So from P through A0, it's meeting me here, right? I'll call it A0 prime. So I'll trace my point from A here to A0 prime, and I'll get my circle this way, right? My arc that way. Then I'll take my T-square, place it on my set square, place on my T-square, and trace that point up a little bit with faint line. So if I've gotten that point, that will be the radius of my circle. So if I place it at this center here, I'll take it here. You can see at this point, and I'll draw my circle. So I have successfully drawn this. If this video was helpful, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, share with friends and colleagues. Thanks for watching.